Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to California in America once again, and despite this brewery being very well known, this is actually my first dedicated review to these guys, so quite looking forward to this one. So we're going to go to the famous Gargoyle Brewery, Stone Brewing Company, and tonight we're going to have a taste of their IPA. This was a beer that my mum and dad actually brought back for me from a shop in the States. They just thought I would quite like this one because it looked cool, and I never tried it, so it's actually quite cool that they actually brought this one back for me, even though we can get it here fairly easily. But quite looking forward to this review, and as I said, my first dedicated Stone Brewing Company review, so this one should be quite interesting. So anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual websites are in the video description below. That includes the brewery website, the link to my future reviews that I'll do from Stone. The only other one that's down there is a collaboration beer, Magic Stone Dog, that they did with Magic Rock and Brewdog. Very nice, so do check that out as well. And there's all the usual social media things, Facebook, Twitter and Untappd, so please support me on there. Your support would be much appreciated, and if you do want to see more beer reviews, subscribe to the channel. And to my Californian viewers, please don't hesitate to let me know some other Californian beers and breweries that you'd like me to check out, because I know the standard is very high, so I will try my best to get a hold of some of these beers and review them for you. But anyway, to tell you about Stone Brewing Company. So Stone were founded in 1996 in San Marcos, California by Steve Wagner and Greg Koch. Now this old location is now home to Port Brewing Company and the Lost Abbey Brewery. The Lost Abbey, of course, are supposed to be one of the best, if not the best, Californian brewery. That's what I've heard. I've never tried any of their beer actually. But in 2006, Stone moved to a new custom-built facility in Escondito, which is also home to their restaurant, Stone Brewing World and Gardens, and that's somewhere that I've been told I really need to go and visit. But they also opened a second restaurant of the same name in the Point Loma district in San Diego, and they also own stores in Oceanside, Pasadena, and also in South Park and Little Italy in San Diego as well. But in 2014, just to give you an idea of the size of the operation of this brewery, the brewery brewed about 287,000 barrels of beer, and this made them the 9th largest craft brewery in America. And the brewery have 9 year-round brews and various specials, and these beers have been very popular and have earned the brewery the world-class status on Rate Beer and also on Beer Advocate as well. This one itself is actually rated at 100 out of 100, both overall and in the style, so that gives you an idea of just how highly regarded this brewery is. But the brewery also announced plans to open a new restaurant and brewery in Berlin in 2015, and they expect this one to open in 2016. You'll be seeing this review in early February 2016, so hopefully by that time you'll have a bit more news on the brewery. I'm filming this one for you in the middle of December, so you will hopefully have some more news on that new Berlin restaurant by the time this review airs. So just to list a few of the other year-round beers from these guys, there's the Ruination, which is a double IPA, supposed to be very good. That's one that I really need to try. There's the Go-To IPA, this IPA here, Delicious IPA, Pale Ale, Cali Belgique, and also the Smoked Porter as well. And just reading through those beers, I really can see where Brewdog got their influence. This brewery really are a pretty IPA heavy brewery. This is their kind of trademark style, if you like, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's really a very good selection of different IPAs, so I'm quite looking forward to trying this one. So this guy is 6.9%. It's hopped with Magnum, Chinook and Centennial, and it was first released in 1997, so it is actually a bit of a cult classic. If you think about when craft brewing really kicked off, it's the last 25 years it kicked off in California, so quite interesting to review one of the other cult classics. So on the back it says here, it tells you a bit about the Gargoyle, a fearsome figure carved from stone that has powers to ward off evil spirits. Our stone gargoyle wards off modern day evil spirits such as chemical preservatives, additives and adjuncts. One taste and you can tell this does his job very well. I'm struggling with reading English these days, I'm too used to reading Swedish. But it says on the back here, Stone India Pale Ale. To say that this gem of an IPA is hoppy would be putting it modesty, and modesty is definitely not one of our strong suits. So we used a totally immodest amount of hops to create a big hop aroma, big hop flavours and loads of hop bitterness in this delicious brew. First the aroma delights, then the flavour moves one to rejoice aloud. In fact, it makes us feel downright poetic. We hope it moves you too. And it says, our philosophy, we hardly keep it a secret that we revel in our love of big character ales, and we have way too much fun creating our brews to even think about brewing anything that's less than truly unique and outstanding. If you love big flavours, then you'll love the results of our brewing philosophy. Cheers. And as you can see on the side, if you take this back in any of the states listed there, you get 10 cents back on the bottle. So this one should be really quite interesting. mainly for the hops, not for the fact that you can take it back and get 10 cents back. You should see there is the stone bottle cap on this one. You can see the gargoyle head there. But let's get this guy open and we'll get on with the tasting. Nice smoky opening there. You can see it. You can really smell the fruits of this guy as you open it up. A really nice kind of grapefruity aroma there. But yeah, this should be very, very nice. As I said, rated 100 out of 100 on Rate Beer, so very much looking forward to this one. My parents actually bought me this beer back from the States. I think they picked this one because they liked it. They said, my mum said they picked this beer because they liked the gargoyle, and we can get this beer, the IPA, quite easily over here, but I'd never reviewed it, so it was quite handy that she picked this one for me. But as you can see, this is poured a really nice kind of bright orangey amber colour. I'll just bring the light down and let you see that properly. You can see pretty bright, nice kind of bright goldeny orange amber. It is quite hazy. If I put my fingers behind it, you can see there is a certain level of transparency, but the beer is quite opaque in colour. There's a finger of a frothy kind of creamy coloured head, I would say, between white and creamy coloured head there. Very frothy, not really bumpy at all. There's some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and quite a few little ones going up towards the bottom of the head. But overall, very, very attractive looking beer. So let's have a look at the aroma of this one. So as you would expect when it's Stone Brewing Company, there's a big hoppy nose on this one. But it's actually quite sweet as well. There's a lot of nice kind of caramel malt character coming out of this beer. So you've got a nice kind of grapefruity character coming out of this. That's from the Chinook hop, of course. Chinook gives you a really nice grapefruit and kind of pine resin out of this one. You sugar it up a little bit, you'll start to get more of the aromas. Yeah. There's a lot of the nice aromas coming out of this one. So there's a nice grapefruity note in there. There's the Chinook bringing that out. A bit of citrus, which is more from the Centennial. A kind of sharp, orangey, lemony citrus coming out of this one. That's the Centennial hop. It gives you a nice big sort of floral aromatic character with some citrus in there too. And you're getting a big kind of spicy floral aromaticity. As I said, Centennial gives you a bit of that, but Magnum will as well. The Magnum and the Tomahawk, they really give you, and Hercules as well, they're other hops that give you this really nice floral aromaticity, and you can smell that in this beer. And there is a bit of pine resin, which again is a characteristic of the Chinook, but for me this one actually smells quite sweet. There is a good amount of hop character in there and nice fruitiness, but for me there's quite a lot of the sweet caramel coming out of this one. So yeah, as you should always do with these big Californian beers, do give them a smell before you get stuck into them. There's always quite a bit going on, so it is worth doing that, and it does give you an idea, trains you a little bit, it lets you get to know a little bit about the hops and what aromas you can expect from those. But without further ado, let's get stuck into this beer. So this is the Stone India Pale Ale IPA from Stone Brewing Company in Escondito in California. Slange. Now that is nice. The mouthfeel on this one is really quite light actually. That's one of the things. In California, obviously quite a hot place, this is quite a nice, light and quite drinkable beer. Even though it's 6.9%, it's got a nice big caramel sweetness underneath it, and I really do like that. That's why I prefer IPAs to pale ales. Pale ales can be nice, but they're light and sessionable. I do have to admit I like the bigger kind of more caramel flavour that you get from the IPAs, and especially from the double IPAs as well. But maybe that's just because I'm Scottish and we're kind of born alcoholics, you know. But yeah, this is a really quite nice beer. The biggest component I'm picking out of the flavour is the big floral aromaticity there. The pine resins in this and the floral aromaticity and the spiciness of that is really nice. That's what's lingering in the flavour of this one for me. So as I always say with these beers, sugar them around your whole palate and just let the palate adjust before you start thinking too much about the individual components of the flavour here. So yeah, the middle of your palate is just blanketed with this really nice little soft bready character that just goes across the middle of the tongue, but on top of that there's a good layer of sweet and quite slightly boozy actually caramel, so just pay attention to that in the middle of the palate. For me, I'm actually detecting even just a little bit of a biscuity character, but for me it's more about the kind of big dark, sweet caramel. That's really, really nice. And with it being 6.9%, you are going to get a little bit of that, because this is getting to the top end of the IPA scale. Usually it's about 7.5%, I think, that it starts to become a double IPA. 7.5%, 8% is when it starts to get into double IPA territory. So this one does have a good bit of nice caramel, boozy character about it, and it suits the beer very, very well. So yeah, hoppy characters in this beer are really interesting too. I'm getting just a little bit of earthy character at the back corners of the palate, but that's very, very smooth. But as you come further forward, that's where you get the big, spicy, floral aromaticity that you're going to expect of these hops that are in here. There's a bit of pine resin just underpins that too, and that lingers in the flavour, and it starts to push its way out a little bit more in the aftertaste for me. But yeah, the hops in this one are done really nicely. As they were saying, you can tell that they've added a hell of a lot of hops to this beer, because it is huge, bitter, and just huge bitter, and has a hell of a lot of flavour, and that's exactly how I like my beers. And these guys, apparently, one of the big breweries in Scotland, Brewdog, and I really enjoy their beer. I can see the influence that Brewdog have taken from these guys and why they've taken that influence, because this beer is very, very nice. There's no getting away from that. This is a very, very good beer. If you haven't tried this and you like IPAs, you know, where have you been? You have to try this one. Yeah, that is really nice. If you go around the front curve of the tongue, I'm finding that the beer smooths out a little bit. There's a bit of grassy character in there, but there is that real lingering floral aromaticity. But the pine raisins for me are underpinning the whole thing. The pine raisins are actually quite prominent in this beer, and I really like that. When you get a lot of pine raisin in the beer, that's one of my kind of go-to things. I really love beers that are like that. So yeah, if you like beers with a lot of resin and floral aromaticity, this is one for you to go for. You need to try this one. But if you just go behind the very front curve of the tongue, that's where your fruity esters come out. You'll feel a little oily bubble, and all of your fruity characteristics will come out there. There's a lot of grapefruit in this one. The grapefruit is really the thing that's punching its way out, and of course, like I said, that's from the Chinook hop, and I would wonder if Chinook has been the real heavy hop that they've used in this one, if they've really heavily Chinooked this beer, because there's a lot of grapefruit and there's a lot of pine raisins, and those are the two trademark flavours that you'll get from that hop. But yeah, that's really nice. There is a little bit of citrus in there, but for me, that takes a back seat, and it's only really when you start to move into the aftertaste that you can pick up a little bit of a slightly orangey citrus. You can feel that just as the beer makes the transition, but the real lingering flavours for me are that pine raisin and the spicy aromaticity. The grapefruit doesn't last all that long. There is just a little bit of it, and it just sits there behind the front of the palate, but the big lingering flavour in this beer really is the floral aromaticity and those nice pine raisins. So huge thumbs up for this one. It was rated 100 out of 100, and if you like these big hoppy bitter beers, then you will love this one. There's no doubt about that. But in terms of the mouthfeel, this one definitely mid-bodied, I would have to say that. It's got quite a smooth carbonation to it, but there is a little bit of a prickle, but that helps bring out the floral aromaticity and the pine raisins. It really complements that quite well. There's a bit of an oily feel to this one, and there's a nice sweet malty character in there too. The caramel just lingers in the middle of the palate there, and that sits there into the aftertaste too. And I actually am getting a fair little bit of bread from this one. It didn't say on the website what malts they put in this one, but I'd be surprised if there isn't something like pale ale or Munich malts in there. There's definitely some caramel in there though, but works very, very well. But the main component of this beer in the mouthfeel is the big bitter and dry character from the hops, and that really lingers into the aftertaste. Like I said, some nice spicy floral aromaticity and the pine raisins there too. The Centennial and the Chinook hop in this one are really working their magic, so I have to give them a shout. The Magnum, of course, giving you some of that spicy character too. But overall, this is a really, really nice IPA. I can see why it's a bit of a cult classic. If you consider that this was released back in 1997, you get an idea of how kind of pioneering this beer must have been at the time, because it is very, very nice. And the 100 out of 100 rating for this one, for me, is really justified. I would say probably Stone have done better beers than this since they produced this, but for it being a kind of turning point of craft beer, then it's probably justified to give it the 100 out of 100. This, I think, was one of their first beers, but Ruination, I've heard, is even better than this. A lot of people have told me that the regular IPA is a bit of a cult classic, but Stone apparently have bettered themselves since they produced this beer. So I'm very interested to try some of the other stuff. But if you like a big floral aromatic and pine resiny IPA, you can't go wrong with this guy. For the summer, it is very sessionable as well, and it's a bit of a cult classic, you know. It's got a lot of things going for it, and quite rightly justified to have a very high score. So do give this guy a try if you get the chance. I'm quite happy with this one as my first dedicated Stone beer review. So yeah, do go and check this guy out. As I say, very cool to finally have done my first Stone beer review. So I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. As always, let me know in the comment section below your own thoughts on this beer, if you do happen to have tried it before. To my California viewers, please let me know some of the other ones you'd like me to try. Would love to hear from you guys. Let me know where you're trying this beer as well. Interesting to hear what different worldly palates think of this beer too, so do let me know that. But I thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Go and check out the social media things. Hope you've enjoyed this beer review. Many more from Stone to come in the near future, hopefully, and do let me know some other Californian beers. But until then, it's Landry just now, and enjoy the other beer reviews. Cheers.